If you're stressing out about Figma and have no idea what Figma skills to master first, then this video is for you. I'll go over the 12 key things to master on Figma in order to stay ahead of the competition and become a better designer. By adopting the skills that I cover in this video, you'll communicate better, think clearly, save time, and most importantly, have a much more professional approach to creating and sharing Figma files with others. Let's jump right in. I can't stress enough how important knowing keyboard shortcuts is for an improved flow. Getting yourself into a flow state is what helps you create and solve problems seamlessly. When you're consistently switching back and forth between one tool and the other, you want to ensure that you're spending as little time as possible on things that cause friction. As designers, we can learn from other professions like athletes, musicians, or even carpenters. They continuously invest time in mastering tools. That way, they are in control of their craft and not the other way around. The keyboard is one of your many tools, and by mastering it once, you will soon learn how you can master it in any other context, like on Figma. There are two simple ways that you can go about learning more about keyboard shortcuts on Figma. You can either click on the question mark on the bottom right corner and go through the keyboard shortcuts documentation, or you can use a tool like Mouseless, which is a helpful tool to help you practice keyboard shortcuts in plenty of applications, including Figma and the Adobe suite. A couple of my favorite shortcuts that help me save a lot of time are showing or hiding the UI, showing search menu, copy and paste shortcuts like copying a PNG, pasting and replacing, which is especially helpful when you want to batch paste and replace multiple frames at once, various zoom shortcuts, and grabbing the color picker on the go. If you're working according to a grid point, like the 8-point grid system, then you may waste time manually adjusting your nudges. By default, the big nudge is set to 10 points. But by going to preferences and customizing your nudge amount, you can set it to follow your point grid system. Mine is set to 1 point for the small nudges, which is also the default, and 8 points for the big one. That way, I can ensure that any big nudge that I apply to my designs or in between any objects or elements, they always stick to the 8-point grid system that I'm using. The small nudge is the distance an object moves by pressing the arrow keys. The big nudge is activated when you're holding down Shift while pressing the arrow keys. If you have a proper structure in your frames and auto layouts, you may find it difficult to just quickly dig into a nested child object. If it's a complex structure, you probably click multiple times to get deeper into the nest. So there are two ways that you can go about this. By holding Command and using your mouse, you can see all of the nested objects that are available. Or you can hold Command plus right click to see a menu overview of all of the parent objects in relation to the child object that you right clicked on. When you're working with large containers, it can be difficult to fine tune your selection if you need to do batch changes of a particular element within that container. I see most people wasting time Command Shift selecting each element one by one. What you should do instead is to hold down Command and then drag within the container. Watch how I apply this to this table component, for instance. Learn and use auto layout, period. Not only is this a Figma feature, but it's also how code is built too. You're not only saving a lot of time by using it in your designs, you're also staying in alignment with the code structure of web and mobile apps. I have a video that I dropped earlier on this topic linked here above. There's been some updates on the Figma auto layout feature recently after that video was made, which has brought major improvements to the feature. But the fundamental principles that I share in this tutorial still apply. Understand how and when to use frames versus groups. Both are so-called housing objects, but their use cases are vastly different. Groups are for combining multiple elements together as a top-level layer. The bounds of a group are determined by the child elements, which means that By resizing or moving the child elements within will change the group bound automatically. This is helpful for structure and mitigating the number of layers shown openly in your layer list on the left side. Frames are dynamic containers that have their own rules, sizes, and settings. You can apply grids to frames, and they can therefore be the outer container holding all of your child frames within. Avoid using decimals in your positions and sizes. By snapping to a grid, you make the numbers much easier to handle and work with for developers. Plus, it looks a lot cleaner too. If you have messed up your file already with decimal numbers, just enable Snap to Grid and then move or resize the object with decimal numbers in order to make it snap to the grid. Don't get fancy with prototype transitions unless you're an interaction designer. If you're new to prototyping and user interaction design, just keep it simple and use the fundamental transitions like instant or fade. You want to keep this simple because using any of the fancier transitions can cause a lot of confusion both for developers and the test users that you're sharing your prototype with. Interaction design is an art form of its own, which we can talk about in a different video. First off, enable the ruler to either add rulers and guides to your frames or to the entire canvas. Secondly, create grids in order to create a visual harmony and structure in your designs. And lastly, quickly measure your distances by holding down the Option key while using your mouse to hover over the objects you want to measure the distance to. If you want to learn the basics of layout alignments, grids, and spacing, check out my video on this topic linked here above. Prepare your designs correctly from the very first moment you create a frame. As an example, I'll create a mobile device frame with a child frame container. Already at this point, it's important to define what constraint or resizing settings that child frame should have in relation to its parent frame. By doing so, you ensure that your design is scalable and resizable. Now, this topic is a big one, and probably one of the features that I love most about Figma. In contrast to other tools like XD and Sketch, I feel like Figma made the experience of using components or assets very seamless, as long as you know how to use it. So what is a component? A component is a design element that you can reuse over and over again as part of a bigger system. This is basically done by having one master component, and each copy of that master will be an instance. Each change that is made on a master level will therefore impact every single instance that is being used throughout your design file. That way, it helps create consistency throughout our design projects and helps maintain it. Ideally, you want each and every design element that is used more than once to be turned into a component. That's the first building blocks of a design system. This is not a Figma skill per se, but definitely the most important habit that you should adopt. Tools will evolve, features will be added, and things will change. Who knows? In a couple of years' time, maybe we'll see another contender to Figma. I used to be a die-hard Sketch fan and a heavy user since 2013, but experimenting with Figma for a couple of months at a project made me realize how it would improve my workflow, so I made the switch. Once you master these skills in one tool, you'll realize how you can use the same underlying principles in any tool. With that being said, let's recap. As you can see, a lot of these skills help you save time as a byproduct. And as within any profession, your time is highly valuable and your scarcest resource. Saving time is therefore your highest value. The more time you save by refraining from mundane tasks, you'll have more time available to solve bigger problems, which costs a lot of time, headspace, and energy. Invest in the skills that will have you communicate better, think clearer, collaborate easier, and be at the technical forefront. That's the main key difference between the top 10% and the rest. If you support what I do and are interested to learn more, make sure to hit the link in the description below to subscribe to our weekly newsletter. You'll get weekly emails with lots of free resources, tips, and content to help you thrive as a designer. We're also currently working on launching a Figma course to help you level up as a designer. If you're interested, hit the link in the description to be the first to know when it's launched. If you enjoyed this, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, and hit the like button for more videos like this. See you guys in the next one. Peace.